Hello, all my viewers. Welcome back again to Talk Tales and Travel Well. We have a special and interesting and amazing, as many adjectives as I give would be less. We have an interesting person who, with his knowledge and his experience and his expertise, would talk about something very special. And I bet you have never heard about it before, at least in my channel. Well, so I welcome Mr. Rahul George. Uh, please introduce yourself. I would not talk at all now. Let us all hear from him.
First things first, Lagnajita, thank you for inviting me on your show
Most
and
welcome.
wish you all the best in the content that you're creating, in the stories that you're
Thank
curating,
you so much.
and may your stories, go out and touch people's lives, touch their hearts, and make them tune deeper into their own inner
Oh,
guide
thank you. It's my pleasure that you
and
said these golden lines. Well, so please tell my friends about, yeah.
Sure. So, by profession, of course, as you might, if you're watching this and not listening to it, if you're watching it, you'll see that there is the name iHypnosis that was created,
Yeah.
which is something that I do, which is, as the name suggests, it's a combination of both hypnosis and there's the other part, which is not, you may not catch it in the name, but it's a combination of hypnosis and NLP or neuro linguistic programming.
Linguistic program. Yeah.
And these are two really, really powerful
Tools.
processes,
Mm.
tools, ways of being. It really depends on, if you've not come across it, then you probably heard about hypnosis. If you have experienced maybe hypnosis, hypnotherapy, or neuro linguistic programming, these are on their own very, very powerful tools.
Mm.
And
Mm.
in my own experience and my own journey of now close to 20 years, these are tools that I have not only learned extensively, but I've also imbibed, applied. And today, when I work with people, whether these are, I'm talking about people who are budding coaches, as I like to call them, healer coaches, or it could be people who are on that journey of self discovery, or maybe even self-help or healing today, especially post COVID. There is a lot more talk about healing, because all of us have been affected in some form, some way,
Mm.
either directly with loss, or we've known of loved ones, and
Yeah.
just that experience that was at such a deep level, literally
Level, yeah.
globally, nobody was quote unquote spared. Like everybody had some experience when it came to COVID. So there's a
Yeah.
lot more awareness today about healing. And when I work with people, that is my intention, to be able to help people. One, of course, tap within, connect within to the source, whether you call it God, whether you call it your higher power, your inner being, whatever. We all use different words, but my
Mm.
intention is using the power of iHypnosis to be able to help people to connect within and to find answers. And of course, it's been a fairly I don't know if it's a long or a short journey, but 20 years is 20 years. And I've obviously along the way had the opportunity to learn from some of the best in this field, and also to be able to reach out to different audiences over a period of time, right? So I've worked with people who are in their teens. I've worked with families, people who are 60 plus, people who have been dealing with illnesses, whether it be cancer or a lot of the what we call today the lifestyle diseases, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So I've been very blessed that way to work with a wide range of people. And I guess that's also somewhere what's brought, like, connected our paths, especially
Yeah.
post
Correct.
COVID, right? There's a lot more awareness of wanting to heal. And so when people reach out, like, that's how you and I connected through digital
Yes. Of
platforms.
course.
So here I am today, and really looking forward to our interactions.
Thank you. Yeah, because this is one term, hypnosis, we have already always
Mm,
heard. it's a hallucination or an illusion or what, since childhood. I would just tell here
Yeah.
one instance. As a Bengali, I would say Satyajit Ray, one of the great movie makers, an Oscar winner
Mm,
from India.
mm,
He
mm,
had made a film detective series, and there he had
mm,
used this word hypnosis, okay, wherein the person, the rather the negative villain, I would say, he
mm,
uses a tool wherein we see a thread and a stone hung, and the child
mm.
is hypnotized and being asked, Mukul, where's your place? Mukul, do you remember your last birth? So he says some names. So that was the thing, and immediately we said,
Mm,
wow, really, can we sit and try? But it was
mm,
all, our playful, a child's activity we knew.
mm,
But that
mm.
term might be Mr. Ray also had learned about that
I'm
during
sure.
those
I'm sure.
times and years. So this
Mm,
existed long time ago. And I had, as a student of philosophy, psychology, I'd also read
mm,
it. If you see a rope and a snake,
mm.
how are you illusioned? How is a hallucination?
Yeah.
So those
Yeah.
things, I think, practically after, again, for me
Mm,
also, after 20 years of my college or study, actually, I come
mm,
to a term, I come to a person who deals with it, and I am super excited. So, to ask you how, what may created interest in you to learn about it? The moment you
beautiful.
tell me, would you, Lagnajita, like to learn? I
Mm,
would jump and say yes.
mm,
I am interested in occult. I'm all
mm,
ready to know. And NLP
mm,
added to it. Viewers, if you do not know, it's neuro linguistic program. Yes,
mm,
Mr. Rahul would explain more about it. It's a
mm,
very
mm,
important anchor for your mind, to change your mindset, to set your
mm,
mind in the correct direction. You also are unaware of what problem your mind is going through, because outside
mm.
we all look happy. You all look happy. Inner, yes, health, wealth, relationship,
Yeah.
career, all might be in doldrums. You
Mm,
need the NLP. Well, Mr. Rahul, please tell us what created interest in you to learn this.
mm. That's a beautiful way of framing it, Lagnajita. So, your question actually takes me back to this would have been 2003, 2004.
Okay.
And by then I had finished my MBA, and I was working in a ad agency, but I'd reached a point, and I used to work in Bombay in those days, where I'd reached a point where I knew what I didn't want to do, and I still wasn't sure what I wanted to do.
That's the yeah,
If you
that's
take a
the fun
step
of life.
back, a moment before that, by education, I had already done my degree in psychology, right? So I had done my degree in psychology, and then I did my MBA in marketing. So the next logical step was I was working in an ad agency in Bombay. So as you said, from the outside, it looked like, I was doing the right things and I was on the right path. Could have been, but I knew inside that you talked about doldrums. I knew by then what I didn't want or didn't want to do. So that sort of started the process. And as I kind of reflected back, I realized that listening to people, uh, being there for people. And today, of course, we use the term holding space. Back then, I don't think anybody ever used that expression, at least not commonly.
Yes, yes.
So that was what kind of started the process for me. And initially, of course, I did a diploma in counseling. So I did a course in counseling, which uh, gave me some of the fundamentals of what they call non-directive counseling. But the main takeaway for me, the main learning from that was um, I knew I didn't want to just be passively listening to people's problems. I wanted something that was more dynamic, something as a tool
Mm.
or a set of tools that could help people look towards the future in a more positive way. And that process was what sort of started for me. And interestingly enough, I heard about NLP way back in 2000 and I should say 2003, 2004. Yeah, so literally like 20 years ago. And this was while I was doing my counseling course. And so fast forward to a couple of years, and then 2007 was when I actually found a really amazing teacher. For those of for your viewers, if they've been around that long, and meaning that when they were studying, they would have could have heard of this person. He was a retired Jesuit priest. His name was Richard McHugh, and of course his
Okay.
name, he went by the name of Dick. There's a very American expression, right? Like
Mm.
all Richards
Mm.
are called Dick, right? So It's like we have our what do we call it? Our pet names in
Okay.
India. We have that equivalent. So essentially, I started my journey with him 2007, and I was extremely blessed that I got to start then, because he helped me kind of set the foundation in place. And over
Mm.
the next couple of years, as I started to, so I'm one of those students who would keep going back and doing level one, two times, three times, four
Yeah.
times, level two, and really
Recalling,
like
yes.
really going deep into it. And these are like 10 days practitioner programs back in the day. So I did that. And then I realized that, I wanted to go even deeper. And so that's when I actually came across the co-founder, the original co-founder of um, NLP or neuro linguistic programming. His name is Dr. Richard Bandler. He's still alive. He still does courses even today. He's now, I
Okay.
think, 70. So this was like 2012 when I realized that he was
Met
still
him.
alive.
Mm.
He was still practicing and he was still teaching. Of course, the teaching used to happen in Orlando in the US. And so I actually traveled all the way there. This is
Okay.
like 12 years ago.
Mm.
And so that was basically where I started this whole process of, I said, okay, if he's still alive, he's still teaching, let me learn from him. So even there, I went back a couple of years. So I went back like 2012, 13, 14, 15. Did studied with him in the US, did a couple of courses in the UK as well, in London. And that sort of helped me get my foundation really, really strong. And of course, along the way, in those days, I'm talking like from 2005 to 2015, I should say, so a good 10 years, my focus was on corporate training. So whatever I was learning, I was teaching people who were, leaders, from the CEO. So like literally different cadres, right? So the CEO category of people,
Mm. Mm.
managers, HR, sales, you name it, like every department that
Yes,
came
yes.
across. So I would always use the skills that I was learning. And then finally all of this like came together like 2015. So for me it was a good 8 years of like going really really deep and almost like doing a thesis or PhD in it, without the formal education, so to speak. And then that led me to hypnosis, because I realized that, like Dr. Richard Bandler, the the foundation of NLP is in hypnosis. And so I
Hypnosis.
started to go deeper and study from some really amazing teachers. And a lot of this was online. And then, of course, around 2018, with COVID hadn't obviously happened yet, but 2018 was when I started to find more of these courses. And I found my mentor in hypnosis. His name is Igor.
Okay.
So that's when I started to go deeper into studying him. And then, of course, COVID happened, so everything went online, which was a bonus for
Mm.
me because I got to continue my
Yes.
studies in this. Now, why am I telling you all of this? Is not so much as
Mm.
my journey, just to remind you that these are really, really powerful skills. And like you said, there was a time many, decades ago, where people
Mm.
didn't believe in hypnosis. People
Yes.
didn't believe that it existed. But as you said, in the same breath, if you go back to our Rishi Munis, to people who were really, you know, very, very, they were really like steeped in the occult practices or the practice of
Yes. Yes.
language. Like, I mean, of course, it all depends on how you say it. But when you talk about Jadoo Tona, there's a lot of magic in words, right? So at one level, hypnosis is a lot of the linguistic. And of
Mm.
course, there are processes, there are techniques in which it doesn't mean that you are trying to control somebody, but
Yes,
you are
of
giving
course.
the other person the sense of control. And like we discussed at some point, maybe before we wrap up today's podcast, we can definitely do what I like to call the iHypnosis experience.
Small
you
activity.
can
Okay.
you you can experience the mini version of the hypnosis
Mm.
experience,
Mm.
right? So
Mm.
this is something that whether you call it a public service, whether you call it a way of people experiencing what I'm saying, because whatever I've said right now is just me talking. There's no experience
Mm.
connected to it,
Yes, of course.
right? So one, you will of course have first-hand an experience of it, as also your viewers, people who are watching this, they will get to, as they follow along with you, they will also get to experience it. And as a gift, there is a link that I have shared with you, which you can share, when the
Yes,
podcast
yes,
is up.
sure.
It's a free program. Basically, there is what I've called the iHypnosis community. So there are people who come from different walks of life. There are people who are 60 plus. There are people who are 20 plus. Um, people who are housewives, people working jobs, and taking care of the home. So
Hmm,
it's
hmm,
different age groups, but the core here is either people who are on that journey of becoming coaches, or people who want to just focus on themselves for the moment, like the self healing, working on your own self, like that is
hmm,
the
hmm.
motivation. So we've all been there. We're all at different stages, or different
Yes,
milestones
yes.
on that journey. So that is
But our
something we
path is the same. Our goal is the same.
100%.
And
The end
viewers
point
can
is the
see that
same.
there's no
Absolutely.
end to learning. Like Mr.
Yeah.
Rahul, as he says, that he has been learning. He went far from this country to that country. Yes, learning has no age, no end.
Yes.
And also, next to learning, I think is another part is serving. When you know something good, you are
Mhm.
bound. Something inside you will tell you, come on, do it,
Mhm.
go and give it,
Yeah.
tell about it. It exists to others. Now, if
That's
the
right.
others do not feel that charge inside them, initially they
Yes.
will not. It will take some 2, 3 more times to convince,
Yes.
but
Yes.
there will be a time they will surely come back, because this is, I think, every human now in this era need
Mm.
it. Everyone
Yeah.
needs it.
Yeah.
And there's no judgment
Yeah.
about I don't and she does. I have everything with me.
Yeah.
As I say, the outer covering is much beyond
Yeah.
what the inner side is.